This episode is sponsored by Squarespace. Welcome back, episode 7, restoring the 1915 Massey steam hammer. In the last episode, we got it disassembled, so we can access this curious little problem that needs a lot of work on the anvil. We also received this package. Ba-bam! It's so slippery. I can't grip it to pull it up. Woo! Oh no, it's broken. This is graphite sheet. Look at that, you can just rip it apart. This is meant to be our gasket material, but who knows if it's strong enough. I need to put this somewhere safe. The stuff that's more relevant to the last episode, however. Oh yeah. Look at that. That is 7 meters more than we need of 3/4 inch square graphite rope for the stuffing box. Oh, but we can put all that to the side because there's still work to do on our top die. So it's to the mill. That is 5 of the 6 sides of the die done. Cleaned up and made a lot neater. Now, the keen-eyed amongst you might have noticed something different about the machining on this last side. You might have noticed that everything looked a little bit less fireworky, oftentimes, all the time. When I've been cutting high-carbon steel with the face mill in the Bridgeport, you have just seen showers of sparks go absolutely everywhere. Because for whatever reason, I seem to think that it was just the high-carbon steel that was making that happen, and there was nothing I could do about it. Turns out, for the first time ever, I tried experimenting with cutting at significantly slower RPMs. Now, I'm quite certain many of you have spent many, many years screaming at yourselves internally that I never tried this before, but I switched from the high gear to the low gear. I went from cutting, usually with this cutter, at about kind of 700, 800 RPM, to cutting at 270 RPM. And the result is, we took beautiful chips that were not sparking. The inserts on the face mill are looking in pretty good shape. The surface finish on the die is much nicer. And it didn't take any more time. I was able to take the same depth of cut, the same feed rate. All I did was just reduce the RPM, and everything was better. Alrighty, let's have a look at what we got. As you can see, the underneath of the die has now been touched. This means that it is now square, but this is where things are about to get a little bit tricky. Unsurprisingly, adjusting anything has knock-on effects. I've made sure that we're contacting here on our freshly milled surface. To do that, we had to take a disproportional amount of material off this face as it compares to these two faces. But you'll see we have a little radius in here, corresponding radius on the male part of the die. Well, having now adjusted things and moved things around, stuff ain't fitting. If I try and squeeze that die up against the edge, it lifts the block up. No good. This little sharp edge in there, also no good. Same deal on the other side, at least only a key has to go here. Regardless, it's no good. About to sound like a broken record here, but the dovetail in the ram itself is also no bloody good. But I went ahead and preemptively ordered some end mills, some fairly chunky ball end mills, and the hope is that we can use these to recut the actual dovetails themselves. Get them, skook them. While we're busy getting stuff squared up on the die block, might as well thank today's sponsor, Squarespace. It's a website building platform that is incredibly easy to use. You don't need any coding experience, any web design experience. They've got countless drag and drop themes that allow you to put stuff exactly where you want it, no matter the type of website. You want to showcase your work and have a portfolio site? Build it with Squarespace. You want to sell unlimited physical or digital products? You can do it with Squarespace. You can create a blog. You can sell access to exclusive members-only areas. You can even book clients with Squarespace scheduling. It syncs beautifully with Google Calendars. I've used it and I love it. And no matter how your website needs to evolve, you'll be glad that you built it with Squarespace because they're constantly adding new features. You can now offer buy now, pay later services. Your customers can check out with Apple Pay, sell custom printed merch, and integrate with all sorts of other third-party applications. I would love for you to check it out. Go to squarespace.com/forge. That's our link, and you'll get a 2-week free trial. If you love it, you can use code FORGE to get a 10% discount off your subscription and your domain purchase. That's right, you can buy your domain there too. Check them out. Let's get back to the video. Now remember, one side of our dovetail is parallel to the die block. Another side is tapered, and so this is surely going to be a wonderfully confusing situation. A number of you have suggested that I get a copy of this, Machinery's Handbook. Well, I've actually had that for like 8 or 9 years. Somebody once very kindly gave it to me. But you see, it's only helpful if you know how to read. And furthermore, the amount of detail written about dovetails, as far as I can see, is only about measuring them. But I'm at least gonna start like this. The sides that's parallel, we're gonna tackle that first in the mill. And we're going to achieve our angles by nodding the head. We use these adjustment points right here, nod it up and down, and so let's see how that turns out. Wow, I did that up tight. Then back here, I got a little worm screw. I should probably be careful to not use terminology, I don't exactly know. There's a thing that we twist, and we can twist that to lower the head. I'm really hoping that this little experience teaches me a lot of useful information for when it comes to actually having to manufacture my own dies. We are definitely going to need to make the bottom die for the anvil block when we get to it. The cut is fairly central to the dovetail, which makes me feel the angle is probably pretty close. Oh yeah. That is the parallel side done. Now I need to flip it, but we have to get the correct taper on it. Now what I did is I preemptively measured the offset in dimensions. So I know 1.5 millimeters over the length of this die is as much as it needs to be twisted. But check this out. I saw that the page after our little dovetail page is conveniently a tapers per foot and corresponding angles. This thing's a little under 6 inches long. So multiply that by 2, 3.06 millimeters. Now what is that number close to? That is close to 1/8 of an inch. 1/8 of an inch taper per foot, about 0.6 degrees. I did notice something a little bit concerning earlier that I've been trying to deal with, which is this mill has a little bit of a rock to it. Yeah, look at that. The mill can wobble, not good. This concrete floor right here has like an epoxy coating and it just falls apart, like it's awful. And I'm a bit concerned with the combination of that funny floor and all the chips and crud has accumulated under here to make for a not very level footing. We've got to do something about that. Whoa, it's like lifted up completely. Oh no! Now unfortunately our pallet truck is dead. That is not meant to look like that. What sort of crap metal is this? How expensive is a pallet truck?
You already know the answer from the last episode. 300 pounds!
It's actually pretty close. Cheaper than 300 pounds. It's just made of trash metal. It's just a disgusting casting. I'm not gonna be able to weld that and be happy about it. So, 300 pounds! Across we go. Gotta be too silly to even consider.
What is putting 1 foot on there gonna do?
Thank goodness I'm an engineer.
Bro, you drove a steam engine for 1 day. You can hardly call yourself an engineer.
I drove it a total of half a mile. Okay, I chipped out a lot, and I've hopefully got nothing else stuck under there. I'm gonna make some little wood wedges to go into the front. All right, slight tangent. Actually, you know what? Let's do this in a minute. What? Wow, that's so much more rigid than it was. Definitely won't have to stop and fix this in like 3 days' time. Ow! Oh yoy, 2 passes with the brand new cutter and it's already ruined. I think we must have hit a pocket of work-hardened steel. It's slowly getting lighter every time we move it. This die, I think we're kind of done machining on. Question is, what do we do next? Ooh, I had a tangent to talk about. Right, time for a short tangent, and that is to find out if we've got crack. Boom! This is meant to be a crack detector. John at Massey Forging recommended that I check and see if any of this stuff is cracked, because that would be really bad. And considering the abuse that this anvil has seen in its dovetail area, I think that's a pretty good shout. So let's see how it works. Flushes out soiling and leaves surfaces ready for penetrant 2 and developer 2. Something tells me this probably wanted clean metal, not like rusted, oil-infested crud, so this might be a waste of time. Ore detector penetrant 2 penetrates defects and cracks. Liquid penetrant applied. It needs to soak in as short as 5 minutes up to 30 or 60 minutes. We will wait some time. And then I think we use the developer, number 3. Tell you what, looking at that, it does make me think somebody's done a weld repair on this at some point. Maybe that is why we were destroying the high-speed steel end mill. Now we detect. I think this is meant to tell us something, but I'm not exactly sure what. I think it's meant to like highlight any remnant red. That's an exaggerated example of it. Like there's definitely red stuff stuck in there that didn't get wiped off. Oh yeah, and look, it showed that little impurity right there. Definitely works better on these milled surfaces. It looks like this handle has got the plague. I don't think I'm going to learn much until we are down to true material. So on that note, let's see what we can do about this bottom dovetail. So though we do have some awesome leads on this thing getting machined, you know, there's that little part of me, that irresponsible part of me, that just thinks about how cool it would be if we were able to do it right here, with nowhere near the tools required to make this happen. I don't think it's impossible, as you guys said in the comments, and as people have reached out to me with some really good ideas on how to get this done, the impossible starts to seem just a little bit possible. Angle grinder won't go down far enough. It could go out this way, but then we'd have to flip everything to do the other half.
That's not going to be deep enough, is it?
Not with this blade. There's also a wood cutting blade. What if they had an angle grinding blade on it? Go buy a massive circular saw. Then see if we either put an angle grinding blade on it or use the components, retrofit this stuff onto an angle grinding blade. I'm gonna go buy one of these. I bought two things in case one is more suitable than the other. Jamie, imagine how naughty. No chance. Oh, I tell you what, that does look a lot more robust though. Let's start disassembling, shall we? So close.
Will it explode? I feel like horizontal, like at abdomen level, is probably not the best way, actually. I think vertically in a straight line is better.
There's no way I'm using this. No chance. No chance. There was never any chance that we were going to use this. This is just ridiculous. Then we can just return this I'm joking.
Now, how in the heck are you going to attach that to an angle grinder?
I don't have any idea, Jamie. This might have been an entire waste of time. Yeah, so this also might not work for a similar reason as the last one. So this thing ain't gonna work. Obviously a little bit too flimsy and small, but maybe we could use it as inspiration for building a more rigid setup for planing the bottom of the dovetail flat. I have very kindly been offered the use of a very, very big machine in Manchester, which would mean that we wouldn't have to do any of this by hand. But the trouble is, in order to get this to Manchester, it needs to be driven there. And there's kind of two options with shipping heavy things. One, you ship it on a pallet with like an US equivalent would be LTL, or like a pallet network company, and it's super cheap. Could be as little as £100 for a pallet to get from here to there. Option two is just like how the power hammer was delivered, an individual courier on a truck takes it there, but that's super expensive. That's more like £900 or £1,000 each way. I've just spent the last little while calling around. I took some proper measurements of this component, the full rectangle, and the hollows to subtract the hollows from it. And I took those measurements so that I could get an accurate weight on the thing, because these pallet networks have a maximum weight limit of either 1,000 kilos or 1,200 kilos. And unfortunately, my mathematics tell me that this thing weighs in at 1,450 kilos, which means that I'm staring down the barrel of another 1,000 to 2,000 pounds in expense just moving this anvil to get it to a suitable machine. So I say, though I might regret it, though I might end up saying, screw it, we're gonna spend the money, we're gonna get this thing to a proper machine, get these dovetails properly cut. I might well say that, but at least want to give it a bloody good shot of trying to do it myself without spending the money that I might not need to spend. So I'm gonna move this thing outside and start making some dust with the angle grinder. Alrighty, so I have just spent a little while here with a grinding
You
disc.
don't need to shout.
This always happens whenever we do like factory tours. I just start yelling because I have the earmuffs on. I've been doing some grinding here with this regular 1/4 inch thick grinding disc on the 9-inch grinder. I ordered a cup grinding wheel. In fact, a couple of them. They've yet to arrive. But so far, what I'm noticing is that this cast iron is just delightfully soft to cut. Cuts like nobody's business, which is really good. At least we're not battling some awfully difficult material, but we are battling the tools themselves. Right now, the places where I need to work are pretty obvious. Here, all I gotta do is get a ruler close to being flat, and you can see we've got a lot of material to take off here and over here. So I'm just working on the ends, and I'm not even really touching these inside faces. My plan, if we are indeed going to just be so stupid and angle grind this to save a few quid, is that these faces get cut off. So I take that cutting disc on the 9-inch angle grinder in the future to make those angles. And then further to that, my plan is that we make ourselves a nice jig to plane this flat when we're a little bit closer. For now, let's keep grinding. Oh, you know, stuff is definitely happening and it is definitely improving. Hey, something we've been trying to do lately, guys. We've been trying to see if we can upload every week at the same time. And so I hope that you guys have been enjoying that. Sunday evenings is when we've been trying to post, so please be sure to turn on your notifications. And if you enjoy the ridiculousness of this project with these tools, I'd love it if you liked it, and of course subscribe if you want to follow along. Thank you so much for your time. I cannot wait to see you on the next one. Don't forget to check out Squarespace at the link down below.